I'm Alyssa Canterbury, and as some of you may already know, I was born and raised in a small town in West Virginia. It was one of those towns, I don't know, you've watched the movies before where everyone knows everyone and is so familiar, but as long as I could remember, everyone had been talking about getting out and finding somewhere better. However, everyone who did get out eventually wound up right back where they began in West Virginia. I decided at a young age that I was going to be different. However, as I tried to progress into an actual successful person, adversities would frequently introduce themselves. Moving several times, I attended 6 different schools before I even began my high school career. My parents, they were always enticed by some sort of greener grass on the other side, so we moved every so often, and amidst that disorder, my father couldn't find a steady job. My mother stayed at home trying to keep me busy from creating my own chaos. I realized a little early that my family was dysfunctional, but it wasn't bad enough for me to think that things could get any worse. However, somehow they did. My father began dealing drugs, and as a result, my mother became addicted. Our once sort of normal family turned into a household full of strangers. I saw my parents less and less, and with each event, the unsettled atmosphere became more apparent. Their lifestyle only gave them stress. We had little money, and sometimes we had no place to call home. I lived between grandparents, friends. Financial disagreements had become verbal disputes. Verbal disputes became physical confrontations. Our lifestyle diminished. The bonds of our relationships broke. My studies were jeopardized. My sleep was non-existent. Each afternoon, I was overcome with the fear of home. I found any plausible excuse to stay with a best friend across town. Her household was my sanctuary. For 4 years, she and her family took care of me and made sure I had what I needed to survive. But the summer between my sophomore and junior years, everything changed. My best friend and her family moved away. While the 20-minute drive across town had already been an inconvenience for those who couldn't really afford gas money, the 796-mile drive to Florida made it pretty impossible. So my safe haven was gone. I hadn't allowed myself then to realize how badly things really had gotten in my own home. But within 2 months of my best friend and her family's departure, I had been living between a grandmother, random friends, and a McDonald's. The fall semester of school was approaching, and when it got there, it did everything it could to incapacitate me and exhaust all of my options. I lost hope and was tired. But at some point, something changed in me. I grew tired of being tired. I wouldn't allow myself anymore to be victimized when I knew that I could be doing so much better. So I began speaking to people, just whoever would listen. I went through the uncomfortable confrontation process with my parents, and after stages of uncertainty, I relocated to Florida. The family, which had protected me for years, opened to me a new and permanent place in their homes and lives. Since then, I strived. I graduated this May in the top 10% of my class, summa cum laude, with plenty of college credits and the conviction that I can overcome anything if I try. By telling my story, I've assembled an army of support for anything that might come my way. I've made amends with my parents, and I've found a place in this newer family. My experience in high school has brought me close with teachers, secretaries, guiding counselors, and even administrators who have done anything that they can to care for me. I've been telling my story for a long time now, and there's always people who say, "Well, I'm sorry that happened to you." But the thing is, I'm not sorry. Since all those things happened to me, I'm a better person, and I can stand in front of you today and promise you that there is hope for those kids like me, that there's a chance, and that all it takes is people standing behind you to help make sure that you have a support system, because I was lucky. I had those people standing behind me, and I have resources to ensure my safety. And to be honest, if it wasn't for that nice, friendly, nice manager at McDonald's, some of those nights that I spent there, I would have just been under a bridge. I didn't know where I would have stayed, but you've got to have options. You've got to have people. You have to have someone standing behind you. The point is, look at me now. See where that little bit of support got me? I'll begin my first semester at a 4-year university this fall, and I'll be the first in either of my families to go to college. I will inspire not only those in my generation and my younger cousins and my niece, but I will inspire generations to come that they can do better. And just because they were raised somewhere that makes things hard, they don't have to give up. I'll continue to share my story from now on, one of inspiration, motivation, dedication, and most importantly, of a normal person, just like everyone else. All it took was a little help. Thank you.